Hey everybody, just wanted to something I happened to see and got as a Christmas present. Weapons are a part of my religion, and I am actually a licensed minister, so love that. But anyway, we all know that Robert De Niro, all of Hollywood for that matter, all of these damn sports stars, all of them, are just straight up pieces of shit. Elizabeth Warren kind of said it best, really. I'm tired of all these rich people, Well, that means you too. And as I pointed out in a couple of my videos, maybe I should run for president because we want someone that, I'm sorry, but kind of represents, the 99%. Now, mind you, Donald Trump doesn't represent the 99%, but then again, we voted for him based on him being down. He's going back as far back as I can remember. Everybody wanted Donald Trump to run for president. Everybody. Only reason why Hollywood changed their mind is because he was like, I'm not running it to help Hollywood. I'm not running it to just help these elites. I'm trying to make America great again. And I love that platform. It's been working. He's done more than any other president, any other politician for that matter, than any of them in the last, over 50 years. He's done more work. He's done more for the economy, more for the Black community, more for the Latino community, more for women. He has done more than any other fucking dumbass politician, than any of them in the last 50 years. I guess the modern era, if you think about it. Because going back 50 years ago, we didn't really have personal computers and shit. We certainly didn't have fucking cell phones and everything we didn't have any of that. So in the modern technological age, he has done more than any other politician. And he's not a politician, which is exactly why we voted for him.
Well, it is no secret that Robert De Niro hates President Trump.
Today, the world is suffering from the real Donald Trump. This idiot is the president. The guy is a fool. Come on.
This guy has sullied the presidency.
And this is what gets me. Because going back to political science, going back to government classes and everything else, anybody that's born an American over the age of 35, and I always forget what the third thing is, we are all allowed to run for president. We're all allowed. So what does he mean by he sullied the presidency? Anybody can run for president. I can run for, anybody that of the criteria I gave can run for president. I can run for president. Is he going to say that I sullied the presidency because what? What criteria is he giving? I mean, I love how he's doing all this talking, and this is what gets me about these people. They do a lot of talking, but they never say anything. What is it that Donald Trump has done that sullies the presidency? What? Because he ain't kissing Hollywood's ass? He's not fake over this climate change bullshit? What? What has he done that apparently he's been so bad as the president, considering that his record is speaking for itself? His record doing the work.
Debased the presidency. It's
as opposed to Donald Trump, who y'all love. Obama, who y'all loved, and he didn't do. Hello, dear, are you not paying attention that the majority of the Black community don't like don't like Obama? That they smartened up and realized that fucker didn't do. Because they complained during his first term, and what did Obama say? Well, if y'all vote for me again, if you give me a second term, this time around, I will do the job. I will help out the Black community. I will do what I should do. And he didn't. He ended up blaming white people or the Republicans for standing in his way. Well, that's funny because Donald Trump, who is a white president, has done more for the Black community than the Black president did. So I'm just curious, how could Obama not have done those things? But of course, y'all won't answer any of that shit because y'all know you're full of shit.
Just It's just beyond surreal.
He has no idea of what his purpose in life is as the president should be. I always say,
although he's done more than any other president in the modern the technological society that we live in now, with cell phones, personal computers, laptops, tablets, all that stuff, social media. He's done more than any president in the last 50 years, any politician in the last 50 years, but he doesn't know what he's doing. Okay.
he's a lowlife.
Yeah.
He's a lowlife.
But now the Raging Bull actor is taking things to a whole new level. Check out what many are calling his most unhinged anti-Trump rant yet.
I'd like to see a bang right in his face, hit him right in the face like that, and let the picture go all over the world. And that would be the most humiliating thing, because he needs to be humiliated. He needs to be confronted and humiliated by whoever his opponent is, his political opponent.
Wow. Okay. So basically, we needed to bleep out most of all of that. He's sounding a little bit to me more like Joe Pesci than Robert De Niro. And, here's somebody who, from day one has not been a fan of President Trump. But, look, my question to you.
Which is funny, because didn't they all love Donald Trump going back throughout the years? All of them. Everyone loved Donald Trump. Everybody wanted him to run. Now, all of a sudden, because he's not in your pocket, he's not doing what you want him to do, y'all don't like him. Just admit it. Because how did you change your mind? Everything that that I've confronted people personally about that. What did he do differently when y'all all wanted him to run back in the day? What has he done differently now? Well, he's a racist. With what evidence? Which they never can present any. Well, he's sexist. With what evidence? That y'all can never present. Which, as a matter of fact, when it comes to racism and the sexism and all that stuff that has been presented, all of it has been lies, been either taken out of context, or pretty much the majority of everybody else feels. When I pointed out in my other videos about the wall, all the American Mexicans that I know was married to, everything, all love the whole wall. There's been a wall here in El Paso since I moved here. There was a wall here. They upgraded it during one of the Democratic presidents. So everybody's loved the wall. So why are you people? You come to here to El Paso, and the majority of people here, which the majority of them are Mexicans, are going to tell you they love the wall. Funny how the Democrats completely ignore that. Interesting.
Tom Shalhoub,
Yeah.
is when are we going to give up on caring about what celebrities think about politics? I mean, who cares? I mean, look, he has his right to have his opinion and everything else, but I mean, why are we even talking about this?
Well, people love this stuff. They love the most strident anti-Trump voices. But you notice the people like De Niro, he has a great deal of intelligence as an actor. When you watch him work, he's super gifted and he has intelligence in that area. But when he talks about politics, it's not smart at all. So he obviously has got a block there. He's also very angry. And why has the president debased the presidency when De Niro is saying worse things than Donald Trump ever said? With this, I'd like to smear a bag of you-know-what in his face. Why?
And I've had people say, well, it's because of the way that he talks. He's not very presidential. I hate to tell you dumbasses, but that's exactly why we voted for him. We didn't want someone presidential. We just had that with Obama for 8 years. Somebody who was presidential, but didn't do the job. He actually didn't do the fucking job that they, I didn't say, forget we, I didn't vote for his dumbass, that they voted for him for. I'm sorry, but if you're not even doing the job that you were voted for, that to me would say you're not being very presidential. You were voted to be the president and you didn't do anything presidential. You didn't do your job. Again, I've pointed this out in other videos when it comes to Nancy Pelosi, Elizabeth Warren, Maxine Waters, AOC, all of them. They're all fucking Congress people, but are busy with this whole impeachment crap. We're talking about him and the Stormy Daniels bullshit, which is also a lie, and the Russian collusion, which is a lie. But none of them are actually doing their job, the job that they were voted in to do. And any other job, any job that you have ever had, Have you ever just walked in on day one and just told your boss that, hey, you hired me to do this job, but for the next 3 years, I'm going to talk about something completely different. I'm not even going to show up to work, but I still want to get paid. I still want my benefits and everything, but I'm not going to do the job for the next 3 years because I'm going to talk about Donald Trump and stuff. That's what they're all doing. None of them are working. Donald Trump has done exactly what we voted him in there to do. We didn't vote, any of us that voted for Donald Trump, if you ask us, since before the election that we said we were going to vote for him, well, he's not likable. We like him. Well, he's not presidential. We don't want a president. That's exactly why we're voting for him. You fuckers had Obama, who was presidential, but actually didn't do his job. So he wasn't very presidential, right? He was hired to be the president, but didn't do any work of the president. He actually made our country look weak by bowing to the Japanese and Chinese and literally looking like a bitch to all these other world leaders. He looked like a fucking punk. So I hate to tell you, but that's not very presidential. You don't take the most powerful country in the world and make it look and have the president make it look like we're a bunch of bitches. That's not very presidential. Not for the United States, it isn't, maybe for France, or Canada, but for the United States, we want a leader who's supposed to be strong. We want a leader who's supposed to be a boss. That's what we want. You don't want a president that's going to be a bitch. That's just, that's stupid as hell. I mean, let's take it from the point of the WWE. Do you want Hornswoggle or do you want The Undertaker? So I'm sorry. For my president, I'd rather have the fucking Undertaker. That's what I want. I don't want a bitch.
Like, why does he think that is going to make his point? I don't really understand. So I would like to sit with him and say, look, if he has debased the presidency, the country, everything so much, what is it? Give me the line.
So, Thomas,
give me the thing that Trump said.
Is this an invitation?
And that's the whole point. Anybody I have ever asked, what has he done? Either the stuff that they bring up is stuff that is completely just an outright baseless lie, or it's just based on that they just don't like him. That's it. That's it. And I hate to tell you, but that's not a reason. I've dealt with that. When I was married to my American Mexican wife, and my former bro, David, had moved here with us to El Paso. Her stepfather, who was white, a racist white man from Nebraska, didn't say anything to me. Well, actually, he did eventually, and then I put him in his place. As I said, I grew up with real racist. So him trying to be racist to me, I just laughed in his face and was like, fucker, you have no idea who you're talking to. I grew up with the Klan. I grew up with skinheads. I grew up with real racist. So you getting in my face with your racist attitude, I've been there, done that, and old man, I will put you down. And he backed off. He was like, oh shit, basically he had never dealt with a black person like me before. As a matter of fact, the Mexican neighbors in the neighborhood were like, man, none of us, and these are gang members for that matter, they were literally telling me none of us have ever stood up to that man. None of us. That man scared the shit out of all of us, and he literally backed down from you. And I was like, dude, if you knew my mother and the way I grew up, being around the mob, being around the Hells Angels, being in gangs, being the way that I grew up, if you grew up the way I grew up, a one racist fucking man isn't a threat to you at all. So, people were like, damn, we've never seen that man back down from anybody. And it's like, I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but if you grew up the way I grew up, you could pull a gun on me and I'll be like, you gonna use it? It's not a death wish or anything like that. It's just, this is the way I grew up. So you know, if you're going to threaten me, do something, because otherwise I'm just going to consider you to be a joke. So, but anyway, let me get back to this, what I was saying. So then Dave ends up, so the wife's sister likes my friend, right? Likes my bro. And they start talking to each other. She's already an adult. She's already 18, 18. Oh, I forgot how old she was at the time, 18, 19, somewhere around there. But she was already an adult. And I think here in Texas, 17 is an adult anyway. But either way, she was like 18, 19. But so they're talking to each other. He comes outside and literally was like, I don't want you talking to her, and everything. Now, mind you, Dave's white. So I'm like, wait a minute. So you're going off on it's like, I thought you were racist, but you're literally talking to a white person, It was funny. It was funny. And it was like, that whole because I said so kind of attitude and shit. It's like, so he's asking. Even I asked, which is how he ended up getting in my face. Because I asked, what has he done that you have a problem with Dave? What has Dave done that you have a problem with? And he was like, I don't need to answer that. And I was like, yeah, you do. You can't just be accusing people of stuff without any kind of facts. You can't just be throwing out baseless attitudes and accusations without having any facts to back it up. I've hated that my entire life. Growing up as a kid, when your parents would say, because I told you so. That is one of the things I swore and I didn't do. If my kids were too young to understand something at the time, I would tell them, you're too young to understand it right now, but eventually I will tell you. When I feel that you're mature enough to understand, I will tell you. And that's exactly the way that I raised them. But the whole thing of because I said so, but that's exactly what Hollywood and all these Trump haters are all doing is we just don't like him. Okay, why? Well, we just don't like him. Okay, but why? At least give a reason. Give some kind of reason of why you don't like him. But they can never, ever do that because they're irrational. They're mental. I mean, if you're just, I don't like the color green. Well, why? I just, it's along those lines. As I said in one of my other videos earlier, when it dealt with, dating daughters of families that were outright, like their families, they're the parents or their grandparents, whatever, or both, were like straight up racist and whatever. As I said, I've never been one of those kids that back down from adults ever. Because again, if you had my mom, you wouldn't be afraid of nobody. And so I would tell them, what is it that you don't like about me? What is it that I've done? Well, you're black. Well, actually, I'm not. I'm mixed. Obviously, I'm mixed, so I'm not just black. So you could throw that one away, But then they would start doing the whole stereotype thing, and of course, I'd confront them. It's like I'm not that stereotype. My family, my immediate family, are not that stereotype. And then, of course, just by talking to them, by educating them, they understood. They changed. I changed a lot of people's minds by talking. I like having intelligent conversation, intelligent debate. I cannot stand people just living. I do get emotional. I do get heated. I do get hot. But my brain will I have always valued my intelligence, period. So you can get me as hot as you want. My brain is still going to be the thing that leads my responses and my discussions. That's the reason why I've never lost ever. I have never lost a debate. I have never lost an argument because I outsmart you. I've never been outsmarted by anyone, period. Anybody that wants to doubt that, even when I was getting my top secret clearance in the Army, even the FBI couldn't debate with me. They couldn't even outsmart me. And it's like, we're the FBI. And I was like, I don't care who you are. It was like, why do you think I got into military intelligence? It's like, you do realize that you're supposed to be the smartest person in the room. And I always lead a discussion from that point of view. And I've never ever been able to be beat. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you've been doctor, psychiatrist, anything. Nobody's been able to, going back to when I was 5 years old and I had to go see a psychologist for the first time and everything else. Even he was like, okay, he talks, he does not talk like a kid. And I was like, why the hell should I talk like a kid? Just because I am a kid doesn't mean that my mind is that of a child. It used to scare adults talking the way I spoke because it's like a child shouldn't talk the way that he talks. I would love to sit down. I have always loved debating anything, racism. I mean, when I've had people, you know, who have confronted me like, Mark, why do you actually talk to these people? And I'm talking about racist. It's like, why do you actually talk to these people? And I'm like, why? Why not? Obviously, they're coming from a point of view that they don't know what they're talking about. They're coming from either a point of emotion or maybe something did happen in their lives. But to throw that attitude towards me personally when I had nothing to do with whatever it is that they feel, that they feel the way that they feel, I have no problem. When Jehovah's Witnesses used to come to the house and everything else, I would come on in, let's shoot, let's have a talk, let's have a discussion. I have no problem. I love debating everybody, religion, politics, everything, because everything that I'm going to discuss is from a point of intelligence, is from a point of learned ability. I studied what I talk about. If you listen to my videos of the things I talk about, I'm not talking about just from a point of opinion. I'm talking about things I've personally lived through or things that I've personally studied. So this isn't, so his whole attitude, I would love to sit and talk with him. It's like, what is your problem? And obviously he's going to say the same shit that everybody says. Well, he's a racist. With what proof? Considering he's been in Hollywood, he's been around you people this whole time. Was he ever a racist that entire time? Ever? So then what are you talking about? Well, he's sexist. Oh, you mean like Weinstein and all those people that y'all were friends with that was sexist and rapist and all this other shit, Epstein, all of them. Don't y'all all have connections to all that stuff? There's actual fact that these people were, and you all guys just, you know, I mean, all of them, all of Hollywood has some kind of damn scandal, and y'all just do everything you can to ignore it, to hide it, to just completely just, you know, we don't see that. We don't see it, we don't hear it. But Donald Trump, where there's no evidence, even though he's been in Hollywood, he's been with you. Y'all have all partied with him. None of that evidence. There's none whatsoever. So you know damn well that there's no truth to what you're saying. You're just a fucking idiot who's being hateful for whatever reason. And De Niro, I'm telling you to shut the fuck up. I grew up around the mob, so if you think that that's that I'm supposed to be afraid of you or some shit or whatever, I don't give a fuck about you either. As I said in any of my videos, if you grew up the way I grew up, you wouldn't care, and I can give a shit less about you, old man. My whole point is know what you're talking about. Actually have facts behind what you're talking about. But all you're doing is spouting out all this hateful bullshit, getting applause for it by pandering, but not backing it up with any kind of evidence whatsoever, which is actual slander.
For Robert De Niro to come on your quiz show.
I would love it. I would love it. But yeah, it is. And I want to contrast someone like De Niro with someone like John Boyd. When he speaks about,
I mean, look, here he is hanging with fucking Obama, hanging with Hillary Clinton, who are two people who we know, 100% fact know, have committed crimes. But there, and we know there's proof. There's proof that we know they have committed crime. Obama with his whole spying crap, and his daughters, and with the corruption of the Secret Service and the corruption of the FBI, and Hillary with all her damn corruption in the Caribbean and everything. We know they committed crimes. There's proof. There's fact that they committed crimes, but you're friends with them. But no proof, no evidence, no facts of Donald Trump, but you're just so angry. What the hell is this?
Politics. He articulates policy. He talks about actual things, not just I want to shove a bag of you.
I loved him as Zoolander's father. I just want to point that out. So, Emily, you bring up this. Tom brought up this point about John Boyd, but if someone said this about Hillary Clinton, about Barack Obama, about any Democratic, about Nancy Pelosi, if it was an actor, more conservative leaning, saying they want to throw certain things in one of these Democratic electeds' face, do you think that we would just be brushing it off, or would we be talking about it?
Well, I think that no matter what, there is a bias in mainstream media that would be hypocritical in its coverage of who says what about what side of the party or what party. For me, when I hear this, I just take it as comedy. Like, you guys heard me laughing. Like, I think it's funny to hear it that way. I listen to anyone who is thoughtful.
I hate to tell you, lady, I don't find it funny, because these are the people. What he's doing is calling for an attack on the president. Doesn't matter if it's a bag of shit, as he said. How do we know that shit isn't diseased? I mean, that is an actual assault. That is an attack. These Hollywood people, all of them, Maxine Waters, all of them, calling for attacks on conservative people, which, as I've said in many of my videos, bring it, because we're ready for it. Start the fucking Civil War. Start that shit off. We're ready for it, and we will wipe you out. People like me. I'm not talking about the president here. Let's ignore the president right now, even though he's the president right now, and should this shit pop off during his presidency. This is from citizens like me. As the shirt says, weapons are a part of my religion. People like me, this shit pops off, I'm going to be that parent, the one that tells you, don't make me get up. Because if I get up, I'm gonna have to beat you. I'm gonna have to spank you. Well, you guys, when this shit pops off, we will be the parents that are going to wipe you out, because you made us, instead of just being the way that we're supposed to be Americans, you vote, you lose, and we move on, and you just move on. You guys are acting like a bunch of spoiled fucking children, inciting violence, calling for violence. And I can already see somebody going, well, aren't you doing that in your videos? No, I'm responding. I'm just letting you know, if the shit pops off, what is it? My mother always said, don't start anything, because there's no reason to start anything, but damn sure be the person that finishes it. So I'll tell you right now, you fucking Democrats, you stupid liberals, you stupid leftists, fucking anti-fucks, all you damn socialists, all you fucking communists, y'all start stuff, y'all start any shit whatsoever, we will finish it. And it won't be to the point of spanking you, like getting a switch and spanking you. No, the kind of people that we are, because you made us go to violence, because you started the violence, we're going to wipe you out. That's just the bottom line. Because I'm not going to put up with that shit. I like my life. I like being able to just hang out with friends, barbecues, and everything else. And freedom of speech, freedom of religion, except for the people who are not part of our religions, people who actually just want to wipe out everyone. And I'm speaking on Muslims here. You don't belong in the Western world. Go back to where you're from. If you want to be your Sharia law and all that bullshit, then go back to where you're from. You don't belong in the Western world. But everybody should have their opinion about stuff. We should, it's a voting process. That's what it is. If Hillary had won and Donald Trump was calling for impeachment, if the Republicans were doing that and everything else, damn well Hollywood would be all over this. Oh my God, they're just sore losers. As a matter of fact, y'all said this before the election. Donald Trump loses, he ain't going to accept the election. They're all going to be a bunch of little crybabies. And then you actually are doing what you called us out for, because you lost. Again, y'all start the shit off. We're going to finish it. And I mean finish, all caps, italics, underline, bold. We will finish it.
Regardless of what they are saying or what their views are, if they're thoughtful and articulate, then I listen and then I form my own opinion. I think what disturbs me more coming out of Hollywood, though, is that the celebration of being arrested, and I think that kind of the fabric, the flagrance of it's my turn. Like I think that's a disgusting, shameful trivialization of what is a crippling aspect of our society. And if they had any type,
see, I find that really funny. You people are saying that Donald Trump is not very presidential, that he's acting like, but you guys are out there protesting. And protesting, not just protesting, but protesting in a way where you're all getting arrested, calling for violence. Donald Trump's not calling for violence. None of us are actually calling for violence. We're responding to what you're saying. We're literally saying, if y'all pop this shit off that you guys are calling for, we'll do something about it. That's all we're doing. But none of us, leading up to this, I've been saying this to a lot of my conservative friends, where they're like, Mark, why do you get all worked up? Mark, just ignore them. This was when Donald Trump first got elected. Just ignore them, man. Just ignore them. They're harmless. They ain't doing shit. They can't, if shit pops off, they can't beat us. They know they can't beat us. And then what happened? The rioting, all the violence, they started, and I kept saying, aren't y'all paying attention? Just ignore them. Just ignore them. And then it started escalating. It wasn't just rioting. They started beating up people. The bike lock thing, they were assault. And I was like, didn't I warn y'all? Y'all keep going, doing this whole just ignore it. Just ignore it. Do you not realize that these are the type of idiots? These are those kids that the more you ignore it, the more they push, because, well, we didn't get caught. We didn't get spanked. We didn't get punished. So it means we could take more. We could take another further step because they didn't punish us. I warned everybody, and I kept posting it on Facebook over and over and over. I was like, didn't I warn y'all that it was going to continue to keep going further and further until we actually start slapping their asses down? So I'm telling you, we're not the ones calling for the violence. We're just the ones responding to it.
With gravitas, if they had any kind of self-respect, then they would take that energy and that exposure and put it towards actual criminal justice reform, rather than shoving in our face the fact that their wealthy attorney can get them out of jail immediately.
And I know, Dana, you've talked about that before. I've seen you post on Twitter about, the concerns about, somebody like Jane Fonda just going out there and getting arrested time and time again. And then what kind of message does that send to young people?
When a celebrity talks about politics, it's like when I try to talk about sports. Everybody cringes and no one takes it seriously. And when it comes to Robert De Niro, so my husband and stepson last night, they started watching that movie on Netflix, The Irishman.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, kind of turned, I have to separate my politics from
Entertainment.
the entertainment that I like to watch. But I have to say, like, for this one in particular, I was like, yeah, I'm just like not that into it. And I left.
Interesting. Jesse, what's your take on this? Are you signing up for what Robert De Niro is selling, or what?
No, obviously.
I'm shocked.
I actually was talking to your husband about this, and we agreed he's a great actor, but he plays the same character in every single role. And now he's playing the same character every time he does an interview. Yeah. He's just a Trump hater. And I think this is just publicity for The Irishman. His team knows it. His entourage thinks it's good, because usually he's a boring interview. And now he gets real animated when he talks about how much he hates Trump, so they're going with it. Also, I don't think people care about what these celebrities say about politics anymore, is because 20 years ago, they were the only ones that could get on their soapbox and have a platform. Now, everyone has Twitter, everyone has social media, there's thousands of different cable channels. Yeah. Everyone can say whatever they want. So what he says doesn't have a big of his impact.
Well, and I don't think we've heard President Trump tweet about this yet, but who knows, anything's possible.
But in my final thought, I'm telling you, De Niro, if I were the president and you would have said something like that, anyone like you would have said something like that, I would have said, all right, I'll let you do it. I will hand you a bag of shit and let you do it, Mr. De Niro. And then once you do it, I'm going to whip your ass. That's my response. If I were president, that would be my response. I'll let you do it. And then I'm going to fuck you up. Is that the trade-off? Do we get to do that? I mean, it's funny how he's calling. You notice how he was inciting violence. He was calling for someone else to do it. I wish someone would do it. Really? Why don't you do it? Why don't you tell him, hey, Donald Trump, get in the ring. I'll fight you myself, the raging bull. Why don't you do it yourself? You're calling for somebody else to do it? What happened, Niro? What, you're too much of a bitch? Can't do the shit yourself? Too much of a punk? I'm sorry. If I was going to call out Obama, which I actually have on Facebook, I've called him out. I'm like, I'll whip his ass my damn self. Why can't you do it? As I said, you're just a bitch. You're trying to get somebody else in trouble. You're trying to get somebody's kid in trouble. Because I guarantee you, if that happens, if I were the president, I would charge you as an accessory because you mentioned it, you said it, you incited it. But anyway, fuck Hollywood. As I said, this shit pops off. I'll tell you right now, we should be invading California, invading Hollywood, and they better, if the president ends up declaring, because he will, if shit pops off, he will declare martial law. Hopefully he deputizes all the rest of us and we go to Hollywood and start arresting you all for treason, because that's exactly what you're doing. It's funny how you can say treasonous things and then throw out freedom of speech. That's real interesting. But anyway, love y'all. Talk to y'all later. Peace.